Hey everyone, how's it going? There's a chance if you're just getting started in Elden Ring, you're not sure where to go or what items you should be getting. I put together a short video showing you how to get this item, which is Radagon's Soreseal. This talisman gives you +5 in the Vigor, Endurance, Strength, and Dexterity stats and is incredibly useful for the start of the game. So if you're just getting started, this is an excellent item to pick up. I'm going to make sure to use a path that everyone can follow from the start of the game. Just in case they don't have any of the things that I have unlocked, I want to make sure everyone can get here or they know how. If you have any of these areas unlocked, or if you've already completed some of these little mini quests, go ahead and skip ahead to a point where you feel like you don't. Just for a little basic synopsis, we're going to grab the Seaside Ruins Site of Grace, and then we're going to head north to Patch's Cave, which is called Murkwater Cave, and then from Patch's Cave in Murkwater, we're going to take the teleporter chest to Eastern Limgrave, and then from there we're going to run north to the Church of Marika, and then from the Church of Marika we're going to take the teleporter to Grail's Dragon Barrow. And after that, it's just a quick run from Grail's Dragon Barrow to where Radagon's Soreseal is. If you haven't done any of this, we're going to start by running north from Seaside Ruins. We're going to run across the lake here, and you can just run straight north across it. If you've completed absolutely nothing in the game, you should be aware that upon crossing this threshold to get to Murkwater Cave, you will be invaded by Nigerius. If you're a brand new level 1, this can be a slightly difficult fight. I'm running a brand new character right here. I think I've leveled up just a couple times and I've put some points into Vigor. If you're starting as a samurai, this isn't so bad. If you're starting as some of the other classes, it can be a little bit challenging, but it's definitely doable. Just start at the game. You should be aware that Nigerius has blood attacks, and after a couple of hits he will get a blood proc on you. So it's very important to be careful and just keep rolling backwards away from him. After you get the first hit on Nigerius, you will start the timer to summon an ally to you, which is Yura. So if you're having some trouble, run up, get that first hit, and then just run away until Yura gets summoned. Again, if you start as a samurai, the Unsheath weapon skill is very useful against NPCs. They have a lot of trouble dodging it. They frequently roll into it, roll out of it, or they'll charge straight at you to attack, and it gives you a lot of opportunity to use the Unsheath animation. After a few of these hits, you'll get a blood proc too, which should kill him. Nigerius drops the dagger, called Reduvia's Dagger. It is a blood-based weapon with a pretty cool weapon art, so it's a good thing to start the game with. It's worth giving a shot. I think it's pretty fun. The next step after this is going to be to clear Murkwater Cave. This is a very, very short dungeon. You should be aware that there is one trap right at the start of the entrance. There's a little couple bells on the floor, and if you go over the chains and you trigger the bells, all of the enemies come rushing into you. Again, if you're just starting the game, this can be a little bit challenging. Make sure you just point your camera towards the ground and try not to trigger those bells. Otherwise, you only have to fight a couple enemies, and it's not too hard. The enemies are pretty weak, and they should go down with just a couple hits. This guy, for example, just a couple melee hits, and then he dies. The next step of this is we're going into Patch's Cave. Right here is a boss fight. It's optional whether you kill him or not, but you should not kill him at this particular point in time. If you kill him, you won't be allowed to use the teleporter chest that spawns after you don't kill him. So for this style of run, you definitely should leave him alive. Again, the Unsheath weapon art is very strong against NPCs. They have a lot of trouble figuring out the right distance or what they should do about it, so they frequently get hit by it. It's a very quick attack and it deals a lot of damage at the start of the game. Even with an unupgraded Uchikatana, usually about 3 or 4 hits is enough to take down most enemies with this. If you've already killed Patches, it's not a big deal. You can just run east along Limgrave all the way until the Church of Marika. If you follow the road from regular Limgrave to Eastern Limgrave, you should come right to the Church of Marika. So it's not terrible, but this is a little bit faster because you get the free teleport. After you deal about 60% of Patch's health, he will yield to you, and he will allow you to buy items from his shop. Unfortunately, you do have to reload the area to do this. You can do this by quitting out, or you can run back up and rest at the bonfire and then run into the cave again. After reloading the area, he does have a few items for sale. Some of them are pretty good. There is one item in particular that'll definitely help you if you're just starting out. It's called Margit's Shackle. This item costs 5,000, so it's a little bit expensive, but it is very, very effective against Margit, which is one of the first difficult bosses that people have a lot of trouble with. He also sells a cookbook and some pickled fowl's feet, which are good for boosting your rune acquisition early on in the game. After using this teleport chest, you get the map right here, and then from there you can simply head north and a little bit east, and you'll wind up running into the Third Church of Marika. If you follow this path, it is completely safe. There's pretty much no enemies to attack you, and this will allow you to get a few good starting items. You get a sacred tear, you get a good checkpoint for this area. A good starting place is the Church of Marika. It's a good place to explore from. And then on top of that, you get the Flask of Wondrous Physics, which is an item that you can use to kind of create a special buff for yourself depending on how you create it. There's several different flask tiers that you can mix together. So here's the flask right here, and the lady with the open arms is where you can pick up the sacred tear, and it's just a pretty helpful bonfire right here. It's a very central location. Just north of the church in these bushes is another teleporter. So if you do this correctly, the run should only take you, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on your skill, your gear, where you're starting from. This teleporter takes you to the Bestial Sanctum, which has an NPC. There's a couple quest lines you can do for him. They involve collecting death root from a bunch of the catacombs. If you're not interested in this NPC or you don't have any death root, just pick up the bonfire. You can always come back to it later. Right here is a golden seed on one of these small little branches of the Erd tree, and then just past that is a bonfire. This bridge does have a dragon on it, and he's pretty powerful, so what we're going to do is we're going to simply avoid the dragon entirely. You can sprint past the dragon if you want, but at the same time, after you pick up the Grace, you can simply head up this way, and it's a little bit safer like this. The dragon has no attempt to attack you or anything, and there's another bonfire ahead of this, and there's a few items that you could pick up. Again, it's your choice whether you want to sprint across the bridge or if you simply want to drop down right here on this ledge. If you do take this path, there are very few enemies that can attack you, but you should know that these little vials actually contain poison in them, and if you step on them, you'll start to get poison. You can avoid them by jumping over them, or you can just hug the left or the right side of the path, and this will allow you to avoid most of the poison vials. But again, it's just a little bit of poison, and there is a Grace right ahead of this, so it's not a big deal. If it happens to be nighttime, the Night Rider's cavalry spawns right here on the bridge, and he'll block this pretty effectively. So if it's nighttime, you might want to rest at that bonfire that we previously stopped at, and just change the time until it's morning or noon. There's a quick thing that you can do right here. This tower is very easy to solve. This Spirit Spring we're going to use in two different ways. You can use it first to get this tower. If you simply land on the roof and get off your horse, you can walk right down, and the tower is solved. That's it. You don't have to do anything. You just walk right up to the top of the tower, and you get a memory stone. This can be useful if you're playing a caster build, or if you want to simply slot some more spells. But you should know that the bottom of this tower never opens no matter what you do. Even after you get the memory stone, you still can't open the door to this tower. So after you get it, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump off the building. You can get off the building either by jumping off on your horse, or you can simply teleport to the site of Grace. We're just going back to the same Spirit Spring, and we're going to jump off to the north this time. It's a very small graveyard right here. It contains a few different golden runes. I think it has a 1, an 8, a 3, and a 6. This is about 5,000 souls, I think. So it's just a nice small amount of souls to start the game off with. It'll give you a few points that you can put into whatever you want to start using the weapons that you want right off the bat. After we've picked up all these items, we're going to run straight along the path again. The goal of this was to be completely safe and for there to be little to no interaction with most enemies. But this is going to be the hardest part coming up right here. This is where you're actually going to pick up the Soreseal. So if you head to the left of this, there's an Erd Tree avatar, but he won't come over to the left, so you can simply run past him, and there's another Spirit Spring right here behind the tree. and this will take you up to the fort that we're going to. This is called Fort Ferrith. This fort has several key items that you need for the progression of the game. It has 1/2 of the Dectus medallion, which is needed to use the Lift of Dectus, so it's good to get this out of the way nice and early, because this will allow you to use the Great Lift of Dectus, which will take you into Altus Plateau, and it'll also give you Radagon Soreseal, which gives you a bunch of stats, and there's a Gold Rune 12, which gives you about 6,000, I think. So right at the start of the game, you can start off with about 11,000 runes to level up your character how you choose. So this is the most difficult part right here. You should sprint through this entire area. Don't try to interact with any of the NPCs, any of the monsters. They're really, really strong. There's a level scaling, or like a damage scaling on them, that makes them do a lot more damage than a lot of the starting enemies. You just climb right up this ladder. After this, we're going to sprint past everything again. Right here is the first half of the Dectus medallion that you can pick up. And then you can run. As you're running, several magic guys will spawn behind you. So this area is a little bit tricky. As long as you keep running, you should be able to do this exact path with very little interaction. There is one rat hidden right behind this box, so be careful because he can knock you off the ledge. But what you can do right here is just turn around, pick up this Gold Rune 12, and then get a little running start and jump right across. And then there's 2 more rats right behind this ledge, so be really careful here. Just get a couple rolls, drop off the edge. And then here is Radagon's Soreseal. And then I try to just warp out. You're probably going to die at this point unless you have pretty good gear or you're an amazing player. You can warp out, you can die, your choice. I was trying to warp out for time. After you pick up this talisman, your run is complete. You get the best starting talisman in the game, you get a couple golden seeds, and you get a few useful bonfires to start at. So good luck, guys.